Continuing our look at round 5, the inaugural Carfax Carbondale Clash. We start part 2 at the end of lap 45 on the final restart. 30 laps to go now. Fabrizio Dalla Stella continuing to lead in that number 56. That green number 71, Rush McLeod on the inside, still trying to get his lap back though. And Rush puts up quite the effort here. Side by side they go through turn 2. But as they come out of turn 3, Dalla Stella will hold his ground and the 71 will still be a lap behind. However, on this lap, lap 47, McLeod will finally get his lap back to the inside in turn 3, and coming out of the corner, he will easily pass the 56 onto the front straightaway, and Rush McLeod is back on the lead lap here at Carbondale. Going to lap 48, and Eric Lacrosse continues to be a nuisance, merging back onto the track, breaking up this battle for second between Jacob Eichholz and Jen Walker. And as soon as he comes back out of the pits, he goes back in. And as you saw at the end of part 1, he's already been called to the hauler. Same lap, here's Reed Weber, who qualified 18th, passing Mike Lee for 4th. So the Australian has sliced and diced his way through the field as fast as he could, despite all the yellows that you saw in the first part of the video. Battle of the social network stars on lap 53. Pierre Duval in the Facebook car in 11th. Johnny Bellows in the MySpace car wants it. He peeks down to the inside of the Haitian going into turn number 2. And as they come out of the corner, Bellows will have the position, so put the MySpace car in front of Facebook. That's rare these days. Lap 56, Weber going to pass Jen Walker for 3rd coming into turn number 2. And the Australian begins to set his sights on Dalla Stella and Eichholz as the top 2 cars are nose to tail. Checking back in on our pole sitter, Tina Lee. She's dropped all the way to 25th. Of course, she was involved in the first caution on lap 4, that big accident where she bounced off the wall, bounced off the outside wall in turn 1. So obviously that had some effect on her car. However, she was already dropping like a stone when the accident happened. So it looks like Lee's car not as fast in race trim as it was in qualifying the day before. Lap 57, Reed Weber runs too wide coming out of turn 3, bounces off the wall, and check out the slide job. Oh, he has to save it. Loses 4th to Jen Walker. Mike Lee gets around, loses 3rd to Jen Walker, and Mike Lee challenging him for 4th on the outside. Oh man, that could have been a big accident if Walker had been right beside Weber when that had happened. Checking back in on Darrell Wallace, who had major heartbreak last week at North Wilkesboro when he and Tina Lee got together, and the pole sitter for last week's race went up into the outside wall 6 laps in, and his day was done. Much better today, qualified 4th. He's fallen back to 8th, but he's holding ground in front of the points leader, John Hawks, there in the 45. So it looks like Wallace will pick up his first ever CRL Modified Division points paying finish. Lap 62, Tina Lee's day gets even worse, because here's Rush McLeod, who's managed to pull away from Dalla Stella, taking 25th away from her. Look at him kind of push her up the racetrack in turn 2. So McLeod's car much faster after stalling, breaking down, being hit by God knows. And look, he is the 3rd fastest lap in the race now. My goodness. Lap 65, Eichholz going to come under pressure from Jen Walker as he tries to lap Tina Lee, but watch him go around the outside of the 21, pushing it almost to the wall, coming out of turn 1, and Eichholz will hang on to 2nd. Now, he catches back up to Dalla Stella, and a battle between them begins. Lap 70, Eichholz to the inside of Dalla Stella coming out of turn 1. They come into turn number 2. And Eichholz is going to get the lead away from Dalla Stella coming into turn number 3. 5 laps to go, but the battle between them is not over yet. Lap 73, Dalla Stella going to go to the inside of Eichholz through turn 1. They've just passed Dalla Stella's teammate Salvatore Provenzano. Side by side into turn 2 now. Dalla Stella with a preferred line, and he will take the lead coming out of turn 3. So 2 laps left. Dalla Stella with the lead. Now we go to the final lap. The top 2 already coming out of turn number 1. Brandon Malloy in that 4 car will come into play. They come into turn number 2. Dalla Stella pulls right up to the back of Malloy, but he tries to go to the outside to lap the 4 car. That leaves the inside line open for Eichholz, and he takes it. The top 2 side by side. They come out of turn 3, and as they come to the line, Eichholz will beat Dalla Stella by a nose and capture the inaugural Carfax Carbondale Clash. Look how close this finish is. 3 different angles, 1/100th of a second the final margin. Eichholz grabs his first ever CRL Modified Division win. Here comes Sean Percy off turn 3 to finish in 12th spot, grab the final point, but everybody cheering over the fantastic finish between Eichholz and Dalla Stella. Jacob doing the burnouts. He'd only scored 1 point coming into this race. Now he's picked up 20 more, and he's picked up his first ever CRL Modified Division victory. No bonus points for Jacob. He could care less, though. He walks away with the biggest prize of the afternoon. Party on, Jacob, party on. Now, there were some hurt feelings. After the race, Fabrizio Dalla Stella confronted Brandon Malloy, and Dalla Stella's crew came over with him, and so did Salvatore Provenzano's. Well, then Malloy's crew walked over, and then all of a sudden you had police officers, track security, CRL officials trying to prevent what could have been a massive brawl on pit road from breaking out. Eichholz was held up for about 10 minutes, couldn't get into victory lane while they broke up the fracas, excuse me. And Malloy was not happy at all. He referred to Dalla Stella being backed up by his and Salvatore Provenzano's pit crews as a mafia. That's what he said to CRL Radio Network pit reporter Scott Kading. The officials called Dalla Stella, the owner of Scuderia Fama, to the hauler for the confrontation, and they called Malloy to the hauler because of his mafia comment. Not very sensitive. Dalla Stella gets the FedEx fastest lap at 29.51, $10,000 bonus, but he's not too happy about losing the race. The race results now, Eichholz with a victory. Dalla Stella gets the bonus point for leading the most laps. Walker comes home in 3rd. Mike Lee ends up finishing 4th. CJ Cameron, despite spinning in part 1, comes home in 10th after starting 27th. Randy Robinson scoring a 6th place finish. Darrell Wallace finishing 7th. Reed Weber fades back to 8th in the end. John Hawks ends up finishing 9th. Johnny Bellows in 10th. Pierre Duval finishing 11th, and Sean Percy picking up the final point in 12th spot. Now we'll look at the top 15 in owners' points. In drivers' points. Hawks still with the lead. His total now 46 in the year. He leads Tina Lee by 8. Dalla Stella now in 3rd after his excellent run today. Malloy in 4th. Interesting to see those two after what happened after the race. Mike Lee moving up to 5th now. Landon Rhodey, despite not scoring, hanging on to 6th. Robert Klizzle didn't score. He's still in 7th. Reed Weber in 8th. He and Garth Davidson have the same number of points. Rush McLeod now sitting in 10th. Salvatore Provenzano in 11th. Jacob Eichholz, the 07 car, now in top 12 in owners' points. He's clinched a spot. He's guaranteed himself a spot in the next race at Salem. Jen Walker 13th. Pierre Duval 14th. And Kurt Shelton, despite crashing out today, still in 15th. Next up, we head to the Salem Speedway for the inaugural Salem 100.